Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at your severe weather, which is going to be impacting parts of the Northeast with some pretty gusty winds ahead of this squall line, which looks to develop right along the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York state lines. And this is going to be moving to the east, and it's going to be impacting much of the coastal regions of the Northeast. We're going to be going over that. We're going to also look at the NAM 3CAM model, and then I also want to show you something interesting that I found while looking throughout the models to make this video, and it was kind of interesting and something that I researched on, and it's actually a signature of severe weather throughout the Northeast and also for parts of the Rockies. So I'm going to share that with you later on in the video. So let's get right into it here with your National Weather Service page, and then we'll look at your storm reports from yesterday because you did actually have quite a few. We have some severe thunderstorm watches in effect for Central Florida. We also have some red flag warnings for Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, and southern Minnesota. And then we also have some wind advisories there for Montana, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Other than that, there's not a lot else going on throughout much of the country. And also, I want to point out that tomorrow we will also have severe weather on the same day as the Northeast. We're going to have severe weather for 2 days over the South Central United States, and I'm going to be covering that in tomorrow's video. So make sure you are staying tuned for that. Now, here's what happened yesterday in terms of your storm reports. Now, we did have quite a bit of wind reports in the blues. We had 196. We had 57 hail reports in those greens, and that was mainly right where that big cluster was, the southernmost cluster, which we talked about in yesterday's video. That's where you got a lot of the hail reports along the eastern Texas area and also for parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. And then we have the 9 tornadoes, most of them being in southern Mississippi, and also for one of them was in southern Texas. We had 7 confirmed tornadoes. They're still trying to confirm the rest of the tornadoes, but they will probably be confirmed later on today as the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center go and survey those areas. Now, here's your convective outlook for tomorrow, which would be Tuesday the 21st, and we have a general thunderstorms risk that's stretching all the way south into North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia, and then we have a marginal risk that basically encompasses southern New England through the Mid-Atlantic and the coastal regions of the Northeast. Now, in terms of tornadoes, you don't have any threat there for the Northeast. We have a 2% chance for northern Texas and northeastern New Mexico, and then we have a wind threat of 5% chance there. And I think this might actually get elevated because you will have some pretty gusty winds ahead of this throughout parts of the coastal regions of the Northeast. And then your hail chance, you have that more for the southern end of that area through northern North Carolina, eastern Virginia, and Maryland, as well as all of Delaware, southeastern Pennsylvania, and southern half of New Jersey. And then we also have a 5% chance in the brown there for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and New Mexico, and then a little 15% chance there of some hail throughout that little area through the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. Now, let's start looking at what the models are putting out. You have this big upper level low that's spinning around over parts of Canada, and that's going to be moving its way to the east. And I'll also show you what I found out with, because you did have a very weird shape of isobars. In fact, I'll show you that right now. Here's the shape of isobars that you had, and usually these isobars are lines of equal pressure, and you usually don't see them kind of dip this far south and kind of make a V shape. And I actually made a graphic for this, and I'll put it up on the screen right now. Here's the graphic. You see, we have a little kind of digging in through the isobars, and we have V shapes along it. That's a signature for severe weather, and that usually is what creates, if you've ever heard of them, dry thunderstorms across the Rockies. And we actually have that same signature throughout areas through the Northeast. So these are also good for development of thunderstorms. So we will probably have some pretty decent thunderstorms over the Northeast. That's just something I found out, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because it is something that was kind of peculiar to me, and I want to kind of research on it, and that's what I found out. It is a signature for some pretty good severe weather, especially over the Northeast, and it does create those dry thunderstorms across the Rockies. Now, we have this upper level low. It's going to be moving its way to the east throughout the southern half of, or southeastern part of Canada, and you have some thunderstorms, general showers around Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and then As we continue, you start to see this kind of starts to organize a little bit as we get through western Pennsylvania, western West Virginia, through western New York. And as we continue this is going to be by Tuesday, right around when you're waking up. You're seeing some thunderstorms start to try and develop in a line. You have these leading showers, so that's not going to be really too severe. Maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder with that. But what's really going to be really severe is this line, and that's going to form into a squall line as we continue throughout the day. So I'm converting this to Eastern time, and we're seeing this is going to be right around 10 a.m. Now getting through 11 a.m., and you're starting to see that squall line develop. Now, when you get that development, usually when those thunderstorms are still developing, that's where you're gonna start to get the most rapid intensification. That's where you're actually gonna get the most severe thunderstorms. Now, right along this area is where I actually think you're gonna see the most severe thunderstorms when they're still on the upscale and they're still starting to produce some pretty strong thunderstorms in that squall line. Now, as you continue, it starts to form into a organized line. This is gonna be by 2 p.m. Eastern time, and as we continue this is by 4 p.m. Eastern time, and it's starting to move across parts of Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and then it's moving throughout parts of Long Island, and then moving eastward throughout southern New England. You actually see on the southern end of this, we do have a little bit of breaking up. Usually with these lines of thunderstorms, these squall lines, you don't see too many tornadoes out of these because they don't really have too much room to create a tornado. Usually you want those individual supercells, and you actually do see a little bit of that around the southern part of Maryland and through central Delaware and southern Delaware as well. And that could be indicative of a supercell. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be a tornado, but it is a possibility that you do see a thunderstorm or definitely a more severe thunderstorm as you get further and further to the south. And that's why the Storm Prediction Center actually put out that 5% of hail there, because usually you also don't see too much hail with these lines of thunderstorms, but as they start to break off, that's where you see more hail. Now, this is going to be by Tuesday by about 4 p.m. and now getting through 5 p.m. it's moving pretty much out of the mid-Atlantic coastal regions, and then it's moving into New England where it's a little bit less intense and you're seeing more breaking up. It's not going to be you're not really going to see too much thunder. It's just going to probably be a heavy downpour that's going to be passing by throughout southern New England, and this is also associated with, again, that upper level low. You actually see a little bit of snow on the northern end of this throughout those hilly regions through northern Maine and northern New Hampshire, which are very mountainous regions, so that's why you're seeing some snowfall in those regions. And then it starts to move out to the east, and it's pretty much all said and done with, except for Maine, where you're still seeing some snowfall and some rainfall on the southern end. Now, here are your wind gusts in front of this system, because you will actually have along this line of thunderstorms, the models are picking up on wind gusts of about 50 to 65 miles per hour, and this map is in miles per hour, so you don't have to do any conversions from knots to miles per hour here. So you are going to have quite a windy day today throughout areas throughout the Ohio Valley, and that's going to be for overnight tonight. And then as we get through tomorrow morning, you're going to start to see those winds really pick up for areas throughout the northeast, and pretty much everywhere on this map is seeing wind gusts over 25 miles per hour. And then as we start to see this line of thunderstorms develop, you're going to actually start to see we're going to get a little area that's going to have wind gusts of about 45 miles per hour to even up to about 60 miles per hour. You see, as it's going through southern and central parts of New Jersey, you actually see a little area there that's in about 50 to 60 miles per hour, and that's where your squall line is. And if we actually move it back to the simulated radar, you see that's exactly where that squall line was. So with this squall line, you're actually going to see your winds probably be right around 50 to 60 miles per hour, and also ahead of the squall line in southern New England and across parts of Long Island, you could probably see wind gusts of about 45 to 50 miles per hour ahead of this. And then as it moves through, winds will slightly decrease, and they're going to gradually decrease throughout the day on Wednesday, where your winds are probably going to gust to about 20 to 30 miles per hour. Now, here's your cape. You don't have too much cape with this, and usually this is quite a large amount of cape for areas throughout this far to the north, where you're actually going to get close to 1,000 cape in some of these regions throughout parts of Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and even into upstate New York. You're going to have some cape values, convective available potential energy, and this is again showing you how much energy you have in the atmosphere. Usually you want to get about 1,000 cape right now you're only seeing about 400 to maybe 750 cape, so you're not going to see too much cape. But just because of that inverted or that V shape with those isobars, I think that's going to be enough to produce a pretty strong thunderstorm or squall line to move through this region, and this would be for tomorrow, Tuesday, and the Tuesday the 21st. And as we continue, you see the cape values kind of die off, so you're not seeing too much in the way of cape. Anyways, guys, that is gonna wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.